So here's something fun. Doing something this time, but something we'll get to another time. This being that other time, but not the other time that I'm talking about. Trail crosses to the other side of the road. But let's do this thing. The haunted trail I was telling you about. Florida Trail. So when I was little, I did, they had a program, 500 miles a foot afloat. It was like an official thing that we registered through Scouts and had to do with the amount of distance that you covered on Florida trails or Florida waterways. So a lot of canoeing, a lot of hiking. And back then it was the style, we'd have these red nylon jackets that we would put the different patches released for places that we visited, places that we camped, like a patch collection. My mom, of all people, got really into it too. And she would proudly attach those patches to my jacket and her own. Kind of interesting, her being involved as a parent, or just what motivates parents. She went to a fairly high level scouting wise, like Girl Scouts and everything else, and then all the way up through Boy Scouts, like achieved some of the highest accolades as an adult. Looking back now, I mean, it's easy to criticize our parents from the armchair, but when you see an adult pursuing or receiving such accolades, it makes you wonder, what was the motivation? Contrast my dad getting involved for the sole purpose of doing a single trip. It's the Philmont Scout Ranch. Just his scout uniform as an assistant scoutmaster. Just real humble. No other marks other than the troop insignia, and I don't know. I think my mom had this vision of him being involved with me and being some sort of an outdoorsman, and it didn't pan out. My dad's a city kid. You can't, I mean, it's okay. We are who we are. It's challenging to accept that about him. All the stories growing up about what we would do, from scuba diving to hunting, it just didn't pan out. Which, when I was younger, I merely attributed it to lying. Later on, I learned about pathological lying, which I thought that was still lying, and took the definition as meaning like habitual lying. Hang on, Oscar. Nope, that's the spider web. Come on, let's go around it. Come on, we're good. There you go. Go that way. Such a baby pup. But I found out, albeit somewhat recently, pathological doesn't mean habitual. It's a mental handicap. Again, changed my perspective. Kind of, maybe made me who I am, which my dad, he's told me that that I'm better than him, and that he wanted me to be better than him, and that I'm supposed to be better than him, rising above racism or prejudices. Still coming to terms with the aggravation of him just not being a better man, but maybe as good of a man as he could be, contributing what he could. The automotive knowledge, enjoyment of machinery, and him trying to give me a leg up in a way that he would want. Because how else can we put a context for our lives? Someone else is a child, the best you can do is go by your experience. Regardless of the fact that the world that I was growing up in, the world that I was inheriting, and hell, dare I say, we were inheriting, is different than his. As the world my children will be inheriting is different than mine. Only bearing one particular uniqueness, that it's a privilege that our generation has that theirs didn't. We were there through a for sure transition. The computer technology, the internet technology. We had a before and after, and it had been a couple generations since that technology gap was bridged by another generation. So I think then what I'm trying to say is that alone is enough to a point for me to let boomers off the hook. They didn't have the advantage of having to adapt, because they could lean on a bridging generation. Your elder millennials, your younger Gen Xers. But an individual can learn, an individual can change, can rise above, can educate yourself. Maybe. If you got the chops. I was thinking of a poem, and I can't remember exactly how it goes. I'll do my best. Learned it from a ranger out west. She said, better is the one who has climbed the mountain, for they have seen both what is at the bottom of the mountain as well as the top of the mountain. Whereas the one who hasn't has only seen the bottom. That stuck with me. It's the theme for this hike today. because we're going to go across this break up ahead to where that blockage was, where we turned around last time. And we're going to keep going through, potentially to the cross trail. We're equipped for it this time. Got some new liners in my shit kickers. Get them rigged back up. I'd like to get some better socks for these, but shit kickers, blue jeans. Only downside is poor Oscar. He just had the groomer yesterday. $65 later, and hopefully I don't shit him up and stink him up too bad with all this. I find myself wondering in videos I see on my feed, and closer ones too, people close to me, survival gear. I can't wrap my head around, and if you're one of those people that make these videos, go ahead and comment. When survival gear is shown, are we LARPing? Is this cosplay? And what portion of it should be or is realistic, survival wise? Like, what are we surviving exactly? Remember Nut and Fancy's urban survival kit. I've done a couple of videos myself on this, following disasters and hurricanes, and I don't know. Survival is some shit. I tend to think about survivor's remorse. There was a particular time in the South Florida had evacuated north. Storms were impending, so the fuel supply was completely gone. Electricity was out after the storm. Fuel supply still gone logistically, because they had not to that point anticipated all of Florida evacuating north. The result, though, had to do with three or so weeks, no power, and fuel was scarce to non-existent. So while we were trying to get operational again, get businesses back running again, even if we wanted to run generators to make up for the power, we didn't have the gas to produce the power. Me and my house, I had previously planned for, I called it like a 30% duty cycle. So just enough to keep my refrigeration going a third of the time, keep it cool. Freezer a third of the time, keeping it cool. Run fans, blow things out. Everybody evacuated to my house, so I had my parents, my daughter, everyone whom I knew. I had, being a hunter, I had a deep freezer, so refrigerating things for people that didn't have that resource, and went up to 100%, using more fuel than I had anticipated. Is that the sort of thing that we're talking about when we're talking about survival, or we're just talking about cosplaying End of Days. I'll tell you, people. Here's that line break. There's the trail back where we stopped short last time. Oh, shit. There's an interesting what's left of the tree. Here we go. Somehow it's more cleared out, unless I was being a ultra pussy last time. Come on, Oscar, we got this. Man, this was a scenario I didn't anticipate a best case scenario. Luckily, just like survival, I'm equipped for a best case scenario. In this case, the best case scenario is we just keep on fucking walking, huh, Oscar? Road less traveled. Actually, I have grass growing across this part of the trail. Tell you what's possible is me taking this trail from this end up through town and into that park that I always drag you all around through with me. I'd almost want to plan for it. That would probably be me hiking it without taking y'all along with me. I will say one thing. Hey, look, it's a blaze. The deeper I'm going here, the quieter the traffic is getting. That's a plus. You want to listen with me for a minute? I don't think that was a minute. Had an associate of mine, heard a story about him. Fellow hunter. More of a killer than a hunter. He definitely had a lot to say when Florida went down to 2 doe and 3 bucks on a season. He took ill, got real sick. I can't remember what I was told that he had, but some sort of an infection. And he ended up spending a lot of time in the doctor's offices and was just getting to where he just couldn't get around the way that he liked. Single guy, nothing really to do relationship-wise, no wife, no kids. Loved his dogs. Place where he was working, one of the guys got busted for firearms violation. ATF busted him. That guy blamed him for what happened, burned his house down. Burned his house down with his dogs in the house. Wanted to kill the motherfucker. Couldn't though, because the guy was in jail and life Life, I guess, isn't always about like the movies. As he withered away in sickness and depression, what he wanted, what he asked his sister for, was to somehow be brought into the woods with a rifle so that he could meet his end out there. Grim and dark. Sadly something I could respect. And tragically, something I can comprehend. I didn't realize it for the longest time, but it was a few years ago, and when I say a few, I probably mean it more like 15. And it was a documentary I watched about it wasn't the deadliest day on Everest, it was like the deadliest day on K2, where something like 17 or so mountaineers met their end all during one storm. One of the people was in his mid-60s. And when I heard that story, I was like, man, yeah. I thought about it for a second, though, and I reflect on that now, and it's kind of sick. The people who love you would definitely think that it's sick. But the end of that story was he was part of this wad of human flesh that tumbled down the mountain together as they were all tied together. Made me wonder, though, was his 60-something-year-old rickety ass the results of that? Couldn't have been the one dude. This other guy, I think one of the lead mountaineers, he was a fucking beast. I think one of his last pictures, he's doing this yoga pose, full pack, full gear, and he is doing like a push-up thing, like an up dog, but his legs are off of the fucking ground. Shall we listen for traffic again, Oscar? Can't tell if that's a truck or an airplane. Sounds airplane-y. I can live with an airplane. Well, don't mess that up. That looks cool, Oscar. You're in the shadow. Here, scoot over. I look like some sort of a coral thing. I think taking y'all scuba diving would be a little too on the nose, wouldn't it? I'd have to do it for text, though. Like, scuba diving and spearfishing underwater while scuba diving, just to get him back for being so pedantic sometimes. 'Cause I get the feeling, maybe you've even said as much, I get the feeling that I live under a rock empty. That's only been fulfilled by what I see on the internet or something. I mean, maybe so be it. I think the thing that messed me up about Say Nothing Fancy back in the day, his bullshit and his camping and his firearms bullshit was kind of, not going to say it was a step back for me, but it was most assuredly a different style. Similar to this whole bear defense thing. Like, you know, as surely as I'm walking a Florida trail right now, there's the possibility that I could come across a bear. Now, a Florida black bear or a Florida brown bear certainly isn't a grizzly. I mean, if those stories are true about the bear hunting you. But, man, in my mind, and again, maybe this plays to that. In my mind, in my somewhat limited experience, other than having had 7 direct bear encounters, maybe I'm just missing something, and I should be sporting a 500 Smith & Wesson. In my mind's mind, I think it's just an excuse to get another gun. Don't get me wrong, revolvers are cool, and getting a snub nose. What is that one Ruger caliber, like the 460 SVR? That's some shit. Did we make it to the road, Oscar? This looks very roadish. Yep. Here we are. Man. There's nobody drives it anymore. Interesting. This was a fucking road. Got a close to vehicle sign. All right, pup. All right, guys. Hope your day's going good. Thanks for coming along.